Hi guys, what's up, riders? So this here is Aunt Carolyn Dye. Her real name is Carolyn Tracy Dye, and she was born around 1843 and died around 1918. Was born into slavery in South Carolina. She was also gifted with the fair eye as a child, and she was able to see things outside of the realm of the mundane. Now, as she grew older and other folks became aware of her abilities, she was labeled fortune teller, though some say she never saw herself as such. Now, Aunt Carolyn was a highly respected seer whose name was recognized in Arkansas and the Mid South in the early years of the 20th century. She was actually born into slavery in Spartanburg, South Carolina, about 1843. Now, there is some conflicting information through the years about her date of birth as well as her early life. Now, Aunt Carolyn had a large following from all over the South, and particularly in Tennessee. Now, according to the information that I found, she only used a deck of cards to help her with her readings, and she refused to give love readings, child, or the outcome of World War I. She didn't do that. Honey, y'all be in these readings talking about love. Aunt Carolyn, she didn't do no damn love readings talking about, is he cheating on me? No, ma'am, Pam. But she did, however, tell many people the location of strayed or stolen livestock, sometimes giving specific information or specific directions, and she helped people locate missing jewelry as well. She was great at giving visions of the future to her clients and offered advice on missing people. Now, it was said it was after Di, or Aunt Carolyn, moved to Newport, Jackson County, that her reputation began to grow. Again, she never claimed to be a fortune teller. That title was given to her by other people. Her clients was both black and white, and most showed their appreciation by paying her a few dollars for her readings, although payment was not required. And this is why I say you have to pay the spirits within readings. You have to pay the spirits. Now, it was also said that some prominent white businessmen of Jackson County would not make important decisions before consulting her. All day long, people crowded into her home in Newport waiting for a reading. She took advantage of the large number of visitors and sold meals from her house. Baby, I resonate with Aunt Carolyn. That is my dream. Spiritual store, soul food. I guess I'm learning from her. So Aunt Carolyn got her money. She lived a great life. She got her money from her readings, but it wasn't required. But of course, people knew to feed the seer so they can, get an understanding. You have to feed the spirit. Also, she was cooking, probably fried the best chicken out there or the best food. She looked like, if you look at her, that she could throw down in the kitchen. I can imagine her saying in my southern twang, what you got on the menu, Aunt Carolyn? I got some good old fried chicken, some collard greens, some cornbread, and some fried taters. That's my best rendition of it because that's how I talk. I'm just saying. Back to the story, y'all. So Aunt Di reportedly only used a deck of cards to help her concentration and would not give readings about love, like I said, or the outcome of World War I. She did, however, tell many people about their livestock, something giving specific information, directions, and she helped people, again, locate missing jewelry. If it was stolen, somebody took it, they dropped it, she was able to pinpoint it. She could be found alongside the likes of Dr. Martin Luther King, St. Michael, Jesus, and Mama Mary. She may be also compatible with St. Anthony as well, since they both specialize in locating lost articles. Now, because of her reputation as a fortune teller and a psychic, items such as tarot cards, playing cards, crystals, and crystal balls could be found on her altar, although she is said to have never used any part or any sort of paraphernalia. Now, if you want to attune to Aunt Di, keeping your own tools of divination on your altar makes sense in terms of asking her for a blessing. and for helping you with your own gift of sight. Now, y'all, it's not too many pictures out here of Aunt Carolyn Dye, but despite the fact that Carolyn Dye was born a slave, she was illiterate, reportedly not even able to read or write her name. She was a thriving businesswoman. It reminds me of my granddaddy. Okay? She had a steady cash flow coming in and is said to have invested in real estate and owned 8 farms. This tells me she would be a good spirit to petition for help in business matters and for keeping the money coming even in difficult economic times. She would be particularly suited for women of color who are in business for themselves, like myself. Now, offerings to Aunt Carolyn. Let's talk about that. Carolyn Dye could take offerings such as sugarcane syrup, cornbread, yams, pound cake, sweet tea, peaches, magnolia, and southern foods in general. She is said to have kept a very clean and neat home with her tables covered in white. Her altar can be kept similarly neat and clean and covered with a white cloth. Y'all, not much has been mentioned about or written about Miss Carolyn Dye in terms of working with her as a spirit guide. Whenever this is the case, it behooves us to take a look at the person's life in general to learn how they live, their culture, and what was important to them. Now, the things that stand out can further amplify through silent meditation and by communing with the spirit on a daily basis, remaining open to receiving what information they have for us. Now, Aunt Carolyn used a small room for her consultations. They were always private with those who sought her out for help. Now, they say she would frequently spread out all her playing cards on the table and she'll study them before giving advice or information. But when she read the present or the future, she would dispense with cards, and more often than not, they say she would cover her face with her hands while she pondered on the situation or the questions asked of her. Though she often told fortunes, right? She seldom read palms and never gazed into crystal balls or called up the dead. She didn't do that. I don't either. A story that I found about Aunt Carolyn Dye. In 1917, 2 young Newport school teachers called on her to have her read their situations or read their fortunes. For the first teacher, she predicted a happy future but declined to foretell anything for the second. When she was asked a few days later to explain her refusal, she said, "I couldn't see nothing in her future." Y'all, within a month, the teacher died of pneumonia. Not everyone who came to see her was admitted to a conference. She turned away most of those who sought advice about sweethearts, about wives and husbands, telling them to work out their own problems. And contrary to the hopes of the unhappy lover in Sundown Blues, the song, she would never put a curse on anyone. Well, that ain't me. And this is big because everybody has their own magical powers. There are a lot of stories told about Aunt Carolyn. Child, it stated after she died, baby, they said that they carried out tubs full of money out of her house and put it in the bank. Y'all, back in the day in 1918, they said that they carried out about $9,000 from her home. Now, in her will, she named about 14 people, but as she had no children of her own, the bulk of her estate went to her nephew and to a 13-year-old girl whom she adopted about several years earlier. Aunt Carolyn Dye seems to have been a very unpretentious woman, but also gentle. Pause to read. This is a picture of her written obituary, where I must say she was called a negress. So guys, before I go, I just wanted to say that Aunt Carolyn suspected her death would come soon. She died on September the 26th, 1918 in Newport, Arkansas, and she's buried in Gum Grove Cemetery right next to her husband, who had died in 1907. Y'all, thank you for watching. I resonate so much with Carolyn Dye. I'll be back with another one. Peace.